wanted to first understand if you all have some specific queries for today's lecture. So I just wanted to note them down, and I wish I can even look into that. So do you all have any queries specifically attached with nutrition? Anyone else has any queries that you all would like to address? Okay. Sure. Anything else? Okay. Anything else? Whether you all should have that or not. Okay. Pardon, ma'am? Okay. जी? Exercise. Any other you would want to learn? Okay, we start off with a very, very basic thing. There's plenty that I have written on the slide, but basically if you were to start talking about that, if I were to say that I am almost approaching 50 years, I'll be in 4 months 50 years old, and what would I recognize as the sign of aging? Things that people usually think about, the immune function. So let me elaborate that a little bit further. So when we talk about the exact definition of aging, there will be lot of other definitions. But I will just focus on the nutritional definition for aging. Is that you need to eat food to process your day-to-day work. You need to eat food to get energy to do day-to-day. There are certain processes that take place inside the body that we nutritionists call metabolic processes. There are certain processes that happen inside the body that help us do day-to-day activities. These metabolic processes over a period of time decline with age. And when those decline with age, that has a lot of repercussions. Some people will have weak bones, some people will lose muscle, some people will have a lot of diseases like diabetes, like heart problem, like blood pressure. A whole lot of people will also suffer from alertness. You normally, when you cross a road after 60, the amount of you cross a road as compared to 30 happen. Over a whole period, it's a series of process of aging. So it is your lifestyle and your habits and your food habits which will actually impact how healthy. Basically, if a person is smoking, that is affecting years. It is a fantastic mechanism of being able to say that you're pushing in toxins. It keeps on flushing out toxins, but it limits. Those limits show up most of. So if you have a chronic habit of being a workaholic, people who wake up in the morning, go to work, and they're working all the way till 8 or 10 o'clock in the night, they're totally stressed, and they actually live that life for a good 2 decades. They lead that life for 20 years. That cumulative stress shows up in the way the body reacts and the way the metabolic processes react. And the body takes a lot of abuse, a lot of stress for a long time without showing outside reactions. Not everyone suffers from diabetes, not everyone suffers from hypertension, not everyone has heart disease. But the people who have heart disease might not have weak joint problems. A whole lot of them have multiple problems together. But usually you will see a person having 1 or 2 problems. He's not likely or she is not likely to have many problems. That is because it's also dependent on the amount of activity that a person does. The more active that you have been in your first 50, 60 years is going to impact how your health is going to be in the next 50 years. So if you're active, then your muscle mass is good. But if you would have had a desk job, or if you would have been a housewife who has hardly moved around beyond doing groceries, then they would definitely have joint problems or problems to do with their bones. So whatever we do for a whole lot of 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, comes in a different form when we start aging, and we actually have now time to take a look at how our body is hurting or how it is aching, or we take a look at a whole lot of symptoms. So going back and capturing this is that you're losing muscle mass is probably because of lack of exercise for 30, 40 years. Now a whole lot of people come to me and tell me that no, like I go down, I regularly go to grocery shopping, I regularly walk to office, I regularly do a whole lot of things. What is the difference between actually giving yourself that 20 minutes to take a walk and walking in absolute heat at 3 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning to go and pick up your groceries? It's not possible to walk at a particular pace and in the manner in which healthy exercise should be done. So whoever is saying that we are having an issue on the bones or muscle strength or our joints is because of lack of activity. I do not know how many people are aware. The first thing that a doctor tells you when you have arthritis is keep walking, keep moving. It's very, very difficult when a person has arthritic bones or arthritis in their joints to be able to keep walking. The reason to tell that is that the doctor still wants to hold on to your muscle mass. If you are not walking and if you are not moving around, the bones and the muscle mass is going to really change. I have a question. How many of you will drink milk? You drink milk? You drink? Okay, this is fantastic. At least 50% is drinking milk. A whole lot of times, whatever my parents have told me, I have seen that they do not do that at all. They told me eat fresh vegetables, eat fresh fruits. The amount of fruits and vegetables that they've started eating is much lesser and lesser. My mother brought us up with 4 glasses of milk every day. For the last 60 years, she's not even had a single glass of milk. Okay? When you are saying that it makes more sense to eat a few things and that is what you advise your children, what we have seen, and I've done something like more than 600 personal interviews of basically senior citizens trying to analyze their lifestyle and habits. Most senior citizens who are having some or the other problem, number one, stop drinking water. Why? Because I have to go to the bathroom more times and I don't like it. And they actually stop drinking water after 7 o'clock in the evening, which is really very bad for them. We'll come to that particular issue also. Most of them do not have milk or yogurt or dahi. Now, it is not possible to compensate 1 glass of butter. 1 glass of dahi, the amount of protein and the calcium it contains, and 1 glass of mutton milk or chash or lassi cannot be compared. Okay, 1 glass of milk also cannot be compared with 1 glass of lassi or chash. So there are a lot of things that we know since ages, but we've stopped using them over a period of time. A lot of issues attached with hardening of arteries. Most foods, if you were to see that on Saturday, Sundays, when we go to any Indian household, they usually like to prepare a lot of good stuff. Aaj Sunday hai, aaj acha khana hai. That's a mentality. I think I've grown up with it. And I think a lot of y'all also will endorse ki acha khana hai. Now basically, what is the relationship with acha khana or jyada khana? Acha khana is good. The idea is it's very good to have 2 gulab jamuns, or it is very good to have parathas, it's very good to have batata vadas, it's very good to have... But ask yourself, how many samosas, how many batata vadas, how many gulab jamuns? Whatever we like, it's a fantastic science. The science in the chips industry says that potatoes, or we can say starch, plus oil, plus salt. This is very, very addictive. Now it doesn't mean it is just meant for potato chips. This is a science where the food processing companies spend lakhs and crores of rupees to understand how do I make Preeti keep on eating. So it becomes like a habit. I take a chip, I eat it, I take a chip, I eat it. You will observe, when next time you go out and observe, when you are very hungry, you don't even take a single chip. You take 3 chips and stuff, and you eat fast, and you again take 3 chips and stuff, and then you realize that 5-10 rupee packet is over. Since it is worth only 10 rupees, you go and pick it up again. And that is exactly what is happening to a whole lot of food that we Indians make. A lot of foods that we like is definitely fried. A whole lot of snacks that we like is definitely fried. Okay? And anything to do with oil and salt combination or ghee and sugar combination is addictive. And it's addictive for that one session. God help us if we are sitting with friends. Because then those 15 gulab jamuns, or even if you say put out 70 gulab jamuns, they'll be over in literally 15 minutes because everyone is eating. It's just socializing and eating also changes your habits. So whatever it is that we've done, each and every person, like me, like you all, have a specific pattern. My pattern is that I grew up for the first 15 years eating and liking the foods that my parents cooked and made available for me. I would not have known different. In our Indian society, you don't go out and literally eat outside till you reach college. So for 15 to 16 to 19 years, you eat what your parents like. So if your parents have bad food habits, you inherit bad food habits. If your parents have good food habits, you inherit those good food habits. It's the lifestyle and the food habits that you have taken care of for the last 20 years. It's not easy to drop those habits for the next 20. So when you go out in college or you start earning, you create your own set of good or bad habits. Okay? So somewhere down the line, we seem to have really forgotten what our parents and grandparents have told us to eat and how to eat, and we don't practice that anymore. Good nutrition, if the food is consistently good for the last 30-40 years, your organs will do well, your bones will do well, your muscle mass will do well, everything will do well. But suppose if one particular person has eaten well, has exercised all his life, and still has certain set of problems, it is attached with day to day the muscles and the body tiring out, and it is also attached with the amount of stress the person has gone through. You might exercise right, you might eat right, but stress management is something that it is happening now. The more we see a lot of people with heart disease, the more we see with a lot of young people having blood pressure. Now even students at the age group of 22, 23 are suffering from diabetes. The more these kind of lifestyle diseases will be seen, is the more the people will start getting concerned in terms of, okay, what is it that they should be eating? Okay. The second point is that every time someone eat fruits and vegetables, what is the reason to eat fruits and vegetables? Can someone help me here? Why would just any answer is good enough? Why would he eat fruits and vegetables? Easy to digest. Great. They have fiber. There's. Sorry, I didn't hear that. No fat. Great. Any more? Yes. Good point. No cholesterol. You have almost listed everything. Okay. Number one, very easy to digest because they are simple carbohydrates. They give us instant energy. Okay. The lady said multivitamin. They're the best form of multivitamin available. But the tendency is that if a person likes banana, he seriously eats 30 bananas 30 days in a month. Once in a while he will say, no, madam, I eat papaya also. So we will say, okay, 15 days in a month he will eat banana, 15 days in a month he will eat papaya. Someone else will come and say, no, we get a lot of seasonal fruits at home. So we eat apples also. So if you start applying and actually start observing, there are 5 to 6 fruits that everyone seems to eat, but 5 to 6 fruits come for the family. A person is not eating 2 different fruits or 3 different fruits in a day. A person is not even eating 3 fruits differently in a month. In the survey, it came out of 100%,